Welcome, restless souls, to Carmen's Crypt. I'm Carmen Carrion, keeper of forgotten tales and curator of nightmares. You've wandered into my domain, where each week I unearth a fresh horror from the depths of human imagination. In these darkened halls, stories wait like hungry shadows. Each tale we've collected whispers of terrors both ancient and new. From crumbling mansions where something skitters behind the walls, to that strange text message you received at 3 a.m. from a number that shouldn't exist. So gather close. The candles are lit, the shadows grow long, and the witching hour is upon us. Are you prepared to face what lurks in the darkest recesses of Carmen's Crypt? Lock your doors, still your nerves, and remember, here, every fear comes to life. This is Carmen's Crypt. Your sanctuary of scares awaits. He stood at the living room window, watching the sunset over Maple Street, watching the first trick-or-treaters emerge from their homes like costumed insects. Princesses and superheroes, zombies and vampires, all clutching their plastic pumpkin buckets, their eyes bright with greed. "Parasites," Harold muttered, letting the curtain fall closed. "All of them." He was 73 years old, a widower for the past 15 years, and he had lived on Maple Street for 42 years, long enough to watch the neighborhood change, to watch it fill up with young families and their screaming children, long enough to develop a deep and abiding hatred for every single holiday that brought those children to his door. But Halloween was the worst. Harold walked through his dark house. He never turned on the porch light on October 31st, and settled into his recliner with a glass of whiskey. The television flickered to life, some mindless program he wasn't really watching. He was waiting for the first knock. There it was, 6:47 p.m. Earlier every year, it seemed. Harold smiled to himself, a cruel twist of his thin lips, and turned up the volume on the television. Let them knock. Let them ring that doorbell until their fingers hurt. He wasn't moving.
"Trick or treat!"
High-pitched voices muffled through the door.
"Trick or treat!"
Harold took a long sip of his whiskey and closed his eyes. The knocking continued for another minute, then stopped. Small footsteps retreated down his walkway. He heard one child say to another,
"That's the mean old man's house. My mom says never go there."
"Good," Harold said aloud. "Your mother is smart." Over the next hour, the pattern repeated. Doorbell, knocking, young voices calling trick or treat. Harold ignored them all, letting each group eventually give up and move on. Some kids peered through his windows, trying to see if anyone was home. Harold sat perfectly still in his chair, invisible in the darkness, enjoying their confusion and disappointment. He remembered the satisfying feeling he got every year from his ritual of denial. It was the one night when he had complete power over these greedy little monsters and their entitled parents. They came to his door demanding candy, expecting him to participate in the ridiculous tradition. And he got to say no, silent, invisible no, but no nonetheless. Through the window, he could see parents ushering their disappointed children away from his dark house.
"Come on, honey. This house doesn't celebrate Halloween,"
one mother said, her voice carrying through the glass. Harold smirked. "Doesn't celebrate Halloween." What a polite way to say what they all really thought. That old man Grimsby is a miserable bastard who hates children. They were right, of course. He did hate children. Always had, even when his own were young. The noise, the mess, the neediness, His wife had handled all of that. When she died, the children had grown and moved away, and Harold had been left with the peace and quiet he'd always craved. Until Halloween. Every Halloween, when the neighborhood became a circus of screaming, running, demanding children. By 8 p.m., he was on his third whiskey and feeling quite pleased with himself. The knocking had slowed down. The older kids were out now, the teenagers who were really too old for this nonsense, but did it anyway. Harold hated them most of all. At least the little ones had the excuse of innocence. The teenagers knew better. They were too old for costumes and candy, but they participated anyway, extending their childhood, refusing to grow up and face the harsh realities of the world. Parasites, every one of them. Harold's eyes snapped open. That wasn't the tentative knock of a child. That was pounding. Hard, angry pounding that rattled the door in its frame. "Jesus Christ!" Harold muttered, hauling himself out of his chair. He had had enough. He was going to open that door and tell these punk teenagers exactly what he thought of them. He yanked open the door, ready to unleash a torrent of abuse. The porch was empty. Harold stepped outside, looking left and right. The street was quiet. A few families were still out, walking between houses, but no one was near his property. No teenagers running away. No one hiding behind his bushes. "Punks," he said, though with less conviction now. He started to turn back inside. "Trick or treat." Harold spun around. A small figure stood at the bottom of his porch. A child, maybe 7 or 8 years old, dressed in a ghost costume. Just a white sheet with 2 holes cut for eyes. Old-fashioned. The kind of costume kids wore in the 1950s. "Get off my property," Harold said. "Halloween's over. Go home." The child tilted its head. "Trick or treat," it repeated. The voice was strange, flat and echoey, like it was coming from very far away. "I said get lost." Harold's hand tightened on the door handle. Something about this kid made his skin crawl. The child took one step up the stairs. In the porch light, Harold could see that the costume wasn't just old-fashioned. It was old. The white sheet was yellowed and torn, with brown stains that looked disturbingly like old blood. "Trick or treat, smell my feet, give me something good to eat," the child sang in that same hollow voice. Harold's heart was beating faster now. "I'm calling the police. You're trespassing." "Trick or treat," the child said again, taking another step up. "You have to give me candy, Mr. Grimsby. That's the rule." Harold slammed the door shut and locked it, breathing hard. How did that kid know his name? He peered through the peephole. The child was gone. Harold backed away from the door, his hands shaking slightly. Too much whiskey, that's all. He was seeing things. Some neighborhood kid playing a prank. That was all. He returned to his chair, but couldn't settle. His eyes kept drifting to the front door. The house was too quiet now. Even the sound of trick-or-treaters outside had faded away. Harold's head snapped up. That sound. It wasn't knocking. It was scratching. Long, slow scrapes against the wood, like fingernails dragging down the door. "Stop that!" Harold shouted. "I'll call the police!" The scratching stopped. Then it started again. But now it was coming from the back door. Harold stood, his legs unsteady. The scratching was becoming frantic now, aggressive. like someone trying to claw its way inside. He grabbed his phone, started to dial 911, but stopped. What would he tell them? That some kid in a ghost costume was scratching at his door? They'd laugh at him, call him a paranoid old man. The scratching stopped. Harold waited in silence, listening. Nothing. Maybe the kid had finally given up and... Tapping at every window in the house. Tap, tap, tap. Tap, tap, tap. Rhythmic, deliberate, all around him, surrounding the house. Harold ran to the living room window and yanked open the curtain. A face was pressed against the glass. Not the ghost child. Someone, something else. A child in a clown costume. But the makeup was grotesque, melting, running down its face like wax. Its eyes were black holes. Its mouth was open in a silent scream. Harold stumbled backward. The tapping continued. He ran from window to window, and at each one, there was a face. Children in costumes. A witch with a cracked porcelain mask. A vampire with real blood dripping from its mouth. A skeleton with exposed bones showing through rotted skin. All staring at him. All tapping. Tap, tap, tap. "Leave me alone!" Harold screamed. "Get away from my house!" The tapping stopped, all at once. The sudden silence was worse than the noise. Harold stood in the middle of his living room, spinning slowly, watching the windows. The faces were still there, but motionless now, watching. The doorbell made Harold jump. It rang again, and again, and again, and again, over and over, a constant ringing that didn't stop. "Fine!" Harold roared. "Fine! You want candy? I'll give you candy!" He stormed to his kitchen and grabbed a bag of hard candies from the cupboard. The cheap stuff he kept on hand, for the rare occasion his adult children visited with grandchildren he barely knew. He marched to the front door and yanked it open. "Here! Take it and leave me!" He stopped. There were dozens of them. Children covered every inch of his porch, his walkway, his front lawn, all in costumes, all perfectly still, all staring at him with eyes that didn't blink. The ghost child stood at the front, at the bottom of the porch steps where Harold had first seen it. "Trick or treat," it said. "Here," Harold said, his voice cracking. He held out the bag of candy with a shaking hand. "Take it. Take it all." The ghost child tilted its head.
When you're alone in your house, but you'd like to feel like you're not, the podcast Inside Your House can keep you company. Our show will make sure that you run up the stairs at night when you turn off the lights and check under your bed before you sleep. We'll bring you every kind of horror, from the classics like Lovecraft and Poe to the strange and often silly world of No Sleep and creepypastas. We've even got stories written just for the show that you won't hear anywhere else. So go and check out the podcast Inside Your House. We're on all major platforms, as well as inside your pantry, deep in your crawl space, and sitting at the foot of your bed at night, watching you sleep.
That's not how it works, Mr. Grimsby. You have to give each of us candy. That's the rule. That's the tradition.
I don't have enough for all of you."
Then you should have prepared better,
a voice said from the crowd. The clown child.
You knew we were coming. We come every year. Every year.
Another voice echoed. The witch.
Every year.
They all said together. their voices overlapping into a horrible chorus.
Every year, and every year you turn us away.
Harold tried to close the door, but his body wouldn't move. His legs were frozen. His arms hung limply at his sides, the bag of candy falling from his numb fingers. The ghost child climbed the steps. 1, 2, 3. It stood directly in front of Harold now, so close he could smell it. Dirt, decay, something dead.
Do you know who I am, Mr. Grimsby?
Harold shook his head, unable to speak.
My name is Timothy Cooper. I died on Halloween night, 1997, hit by a car while trick-or-treating, right here on Maple Street, right in front of your house.
The ghost child raised one small hand and pulled off the sheet. Underneath, there was no face, just a mass of torn flesh and crushed bone, the remnants of what had once been a child's head. Harold tried to scream, but only a strangled wheeze came out.
You were home that night,
Timothy said, his ruined mouth somehow still forming words.
You heard the impact. You heard my mother screaming. You turned up your television and poured yourself another drink.
I didn't.
You did,
the clown child said, climbing the steps now. It removed its mask. Beneath was the bloated, waterlogged face of a drowned child.
My name is Sarah. I died Halloween 2003, drowned in the pond at Miller's Park during a scavenger hunt. You were one of the adults who was supposed to be supervising. You left early. You said kids these days were too soft, too coddled. You said we needed to learn to take care of ourselves.
One by one, the children climbed his porch steps. One by one, they removed their masks and costumes, revealing the ways they had died. A child burned in a house fire, a child who choked on candy, a child killed in a hit and run, a child who fell from a roof while putting up Halloween decorations, a child who was abducted and never found. Halloween deaths, all of them. Deaths that occurred on or near Maple Street. Deaths in Harold's neighborhood. Deaths that he had heard about, or witnessed, or could have prevented, if he had cared. If he had ever, even once, cared about anyone other than himself.
You denied us in life,
Timothy said.
You turned us away when we came to your door asking for treats. You mocked us. You called us parasites. You wished we would disappear. We did disappear, Sarah said. We died. And we've been waiting, Mr. Grimsby, waiting for the right Halloween, waiting until there were enough of us to collect what you owe.
The children surrounded him now, their dead hands reaching out, touching his arms, his face, his chest. Harold tried to pull away, but there were too many of them. Too many small, cold fingers holding him in place.
We don't want your candy anymore, Mr. Grimsby,
Timothy said.
We want something else.
What? Harold managed to whisper. What do you want? The children smiled. All of them. Dozens of ruined mouths stretching into grotesque grins. They sang together in their hollow, echoing voices. Timothy reached up and placed one small, dirt-caked hand over Harold's heart.
But we prefer the trick.
Harold felt their hands tightening on him, felt himself being pulled down, down, down. The porch beneath his feet had opened up, become soft like earth, like a grave. He was sinking into it, the children pulling him deeper with their terrible strength. "No, please, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry."
"Sorry doesn't fill an empty Halloween bucket, Mr. Grimsby," Sarah said. "Sorry doesn't bring us back."
Harold sank deeper. The earth was up to his waist now, cold and wet and suffocating. He could feel things moving in it. Worms, beetles, other things without names. The children's faces hovered above him, watching him sink.
"Every Halloween, children come to your door asking for treats," Sarah said. "And every Halloween, you deny them. You mock them. You hate them. Well, Mr. Grimsby, we're children too. Dead children. And we came to your door asking for what you owe us."
"What do I owe you?" Harold sobbed, the earth now up to his chest.
"Your Halloween."
Harold didn't understand until the earth covered his mouth, his nose, his eyes, until he was buried in his own front porch, suffocating in the cold ground, dying the same kind of death he had wished on countless children over the years, alone, afraid, and utterly without mercy. As his consciousness faded, he heard them singing,
"Trick or treat, smell my feet, give me something good to eat. If you don't, I don't care, I'll pull down your underwear. We'll see you again next year."
The next morning, Harold's neighbors found his front door standing open. The house was empty. There was no sign of Harold Grimsby. No body, no blood, no indication of struggle. Just a depression in the porch floor, roughly the size and shape of a man. And scattered around it, dozens of pieces of old, unwrapped candy. The kind they used to give out in the 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. Decades of Halloween treats, never given, now left as evidence of a debt finally collected. The police searched for Harold for weeks. They questioned neighbors. They checked hospitals, morgues, his bank accounts. Nothing. He had simply vanished on Halloween night. Eventually, the case went cold. The house on Maple Street sat empty for years, until finally, the city condemned it and tore it down. But every Halloween, neighborhood children report seeing something strange in the empty lot where Harold's house once stood. A man-shaped figure standing in the darkness, holding an empty candy bowl, waiting for trick-or-treaters that will never come to him. And sometimes, if you walk by that lot on Halloween night, you can hear singing, children's voices, dozens of them, echoing from somewhere beneath the ground. And so, dear listeners, we emerge from another dark corner of Carmen's crypt. But remember, the horrors you've heard tonight are merely echoes of the terrors that await in the shadows of your own mind. If you enjoyed your stay in the crypt, why not invite a friend to join us next week? After all, fear is best when shared. Leave a review if you dare, or share your own tales of terror on my social media. Who knows, your nightmares might just become my next story. Until next time, keep checking under your bed. And remember, in Carmen's crypt, every fear comes alive, and no one is truly safe. Sweet dreams, if you can still sleep at all.